Chapter 191. There were 7 to 8 late-clasping Yuan realm warriors standing in front of the crystal counter. Most of them were just there to watch, while the rest were bargaining with the owner. "This sword is too expensive. Can you make it cheaper?" 20,000 low-rank soul stones, I will buy it. The owner was a middle-aged man in his 40s with a beard. He shook his head. 30,000 low-rank soul stones, no more, no less. How about 24,000 low-rank soul stones? This is all I have. The middle-aged man still shook his head. Seeing this, the few people who wanted to buy the sword felt helpless. Although they were late-clasping Yuan realm warriors, they only had 20 to 30,000 low-rank soul stones at most, which was already very rich. Outside of the martial city, most of the late-clasping Yuan realm warriors might not even have 10,000 low-rank soul stones. Plus, they needed a lot of low-rank soul stones for their own training, so they obviously could not spend all of them. 30,000 low-rank soul stones, I will take it. Yi Chen and Murong Qingqing walked over side by side. The middle-aged man glanced at Yi Chen and asked suspiciously, "You want to buy it?" He had been in the martial city for many years, so he knew clearly that only some of the older late-clasping Yuan realm warriors could afford 30,000 low-rank soul stones. Yi Chen was so young, even if he came from a big martial institution, he would not have that many low-rank soul stones, unless he was the top martial genius of the martial institution, who was qualified to go to the ancient inheritance place and exchange with the martial institution. Without saying anything, Yi Chen took out 3 boxes of soul stones from his storage ring. "All right, the Star Scar sword is yours." The middle-aged man looked very happy. He had recently been interested in a low-rank Earth realm martial art, which included a flying art, palm art, and a martial art. If he sold it individually, it would only be around 10,000 low-rank soul stones, but if he sold it all together, it would be worth 70,000 low-rank soul stones. Right now, he still needed 20,000 low-rank soul stones. As for the extra 10,000 low-rank soul stones from selling the Star Scar sword, it was for his own training. Wow, this brat is way too rich. 30,000 low-rank soul stones just like that. I'm sure that he's a genius disciple of a large sect and has entered the ancient land of inheritance. Otherwise, with his age, he wouldn't be able to accumulate so many spirit stones even after 4 or 5 years. Look at that masked girl next to him, she seems to be at the peak level of the mid-clasping Yuan realm, but the Zhen Qi vibration released from her body seems to be even more powerful than us. She must have trained some kind of powerful martial art, the quality and quantity of her Zhen Qi is terrifyingly high. That brat walking together with her, he must not be simple. All of the late-clasping Yuan realm martial artists nearby started to discuss among themselves. Some of them looked surprised, some looked greedy, and some looked envious. Murong Qingqing said in a low voice, "It's too expensive. The best low-grade artifact is only worth 20,000. It definitely won't exceed 25,000. Yi Chen said carelessly, "I don't need soul stones right now. What I need is a great sword. It doesn't matter." The Star Scar sword on the crystal counter was around 4 feet long. The body of the sword was not in the scabbard, and its whole body was shining with a misty sword light. It looked like the stars in the sky, shining brightly. Yi Chen could tell that the Star Scar sword was one of the top low-rank great swords. It was even better than the air-shattering blade that Lynch had bought. If he did not buy it now, he would regret it if someone else bought it. "Wait, I want this Star Scar sword." The middle-aged man was about to hand over the Star Scar sword to Yi Chen, but a hand stopped him and said with a cold voice. Everyone looked over and saw that it was a middle-aged man with a gloomy face. He had a sharp nose, triangular eyes, and a skinny face. His body was so skinny that it looked like he could be blown away by a gust of wind. However, sensing the extremely cold qi coming from him, no one dared to underestimate him. This is the inner master of the Sky Eagle Castle Martial School, the Blood Eagle Sword Yuan Zonghua. Someone recognized the middle-aged man and said with a low voice. It's him. This is going to be a good show. Yuan Zongbua is an experienced late-clasping Yuan realm warrior. Normal late-clasping Yuan realm warriors would not be able to take even one sword attack from him. Even if I can't get the Star Scar sword, I will just watch the show. Hee hee. The crowd spread out a little bit, standing not far away to watch the situation. Yi Chen's face darkened as he looked at the middle-aged man. Right now, it was all up to him. If he insisted on selling the Star Scar sword to him, then everything would be fine. The middle-aged man pushed away Yuan Zongbua's palm and said to Yi Chen, "Young man, the Star Scar sword is yours now. As for how you deal with it, it has nothing to do with me." Letting out a breath, Yi Chen took over the Star Scar sword. Ha! Yuan Zongbua looked at the middle-aged man with a cold look. Very good. You did not even give me, Yuan Zongbua, any face. It seems like you are very confident. I, Fang Zongbua, have always been upright. Of course, I am confident. This Star Scar sword has already been paid by him, so it belongs to him now. The middle-aged man did not look scared at all. His eyes were full of killing intent. If it were not for the fact that this was the martial city, where fighting was forbidden, Yuan Zongbua would have already killed the middle-aged man with one sword attack. He would not even bother to talk to him. Plus, the Star Scar sword was in Yi Chen's hand now, so it would be pointless for him to keep threatening the middle-aged man. Turning his head to look at Yi Chen, Yuan Zongbua said, "Young man, name a price. Sell this Star Scar sword to me, and we can talk about it later." Putting away the Star Scar sword, Yi Chen said, "Sorry, not for sale. You better think it through." Yuan Zongbua squeezed his eyes. This is the result of thinking it through. Right now, we still have something to do. Bye. Yi Chen did not want to waste any more time with Yuan Zongbua. This kind of person would not change his mind with just a few words. So, it would be a waste of time. Brat, you are looking for death. Don't think that the martial city can protect you forever. Once we get out of the martial city, I, Yuan Zongbua, will have my ways to make you hand over the Star Scar sword. Of course, by then, it will not be just one Star Scar sword, so I will have to collect some interest. Yuan Zongbua was so mad that he almost puked out blood. After being humiliated for so many times, his face had turned slightly red. He then clenched his fists, his veins bulging. As for Yuan Zongbua's harsh words, Yi Chen pretended that he did not hear them. Once they got out of the martial city, they would fight with their own power. If one or two words could scare him, then what was the point of him coming out to train? Wouldn't it be better to stay in the Sky Cloud Martial School? At least the Sky Cloud Martial School had the protection of the astral reaching realm warriors. Looking at Yi Chen's back, everyone was shocked. This brat is so straightforward. He did not even talk to Yuan Zongbua. But it would be hard for Yuan Zongbua to kill him. The masked lady next to him is very powerful. If the two of them join hands, they might be able to hurt Yuan Zongbua. Relying on women is nothing. Hearing everyone's words, Yuan Zongbua sneered. Of course, he could tell how powerful Murong Qingqing was. But he was confident that he could kill Yi Chen and leave easily. Plus, with his experience, he could tell that Murong Qingqing and Yi Chen were just normal friends. They would separate eventually, and by then, he would make sure that Yi Chen would die a horrible death. That would be the price for messing with Yuan Zongbua. Waving his sleeves, Yuan Zongbua turned to leave. He needed to find some people to keep an eye on Yi Chen, just in case he would be able to sneak away without anyone noticing. On the other side of the palace, Murong Qingqing said that Yuan Zongbua is not easy to deal with. With your power, I think it might be a bit of a stretch. She did not want to hurt Yi Chen, so she used the word stretch. Seriously, if Yi Chen ran into Yuan Zongbua, the only thing he could do was to run for his life. As for whether or not he could make it out alive, it was still unknown. It would be boring if the training was not dangerous. It would be nice to have some side dishes. Yi Chen was not worried at all. He now had the training method for the third movement of the void-shattering finger art, and he also had the Flow Rudra 3 mysterious spell. With 1 month, his power would definitely reach the next level. By then, even if he could not beat Yuan Zhonghua, he would still be able to scare him. Of course, if he could reach the peak level of early clasping Yuan realm, then he would be even more confident. You're right. Murong Qingqing nodded. After buying the Star Scar sword, the two did not leave right away. There were way too many treasures in the trading palace, and there might be something they needed. As they were walking, Murong Qingqing suddenly stopped in front of a crystal counter. Inside the crystal counter, a pair of gloves with golden threads was sitting there quietly. They looked very thin, but a shocking spirit power vibration was coming out of them. Seeing the price of the gloves, Murong Qingqing shook her head. She did not plan to buy it. Yi Chen said, "This pair of low-rank gloves is not bad. Why don't you buy it?" "I do not have that many low-rank soul stones right now. We will talk about it later. Plus, I already have a pair of gloves." As the second disciple of the Sky Flying Devil Martial School, Murong Qingqing already had low-rank gloves. However, compared to this pair of gloves, they were obviously not as good. 23,000 low-rank soul stones. I will pay for you. Consider it as a thank you for bringing me to the martial city. Yi Chen took out 2 big boxes and 3 small boxes without hesitation. They were all filled with low-rank soul stones. For him, 23,000 low-rank soul stones were just a small amount. He had more than 2 million low-rank soul stones now, and 60,000 mid-rank soul stones. He was even richer than a normal rank 9 martial institution. Thank you. Murong Qingqing had trained a demon martial art, so she was not shy at all. Qingqing, you don't need him to pay for you. I will give you this pair of gloves. Right then, a young man in luxurious clothes took out a low-rank soul stone and handed it to the owner of the gloves before Yi Chen could. Seeing this person, Murong Qingqing was expressionless. Second prince, what a coincidence. Yeah. It is indeed a coincidence. The young man was not very handsome, but he had the aura of a king. Behind him were 4 elderly men in black, all of whom were at least as powerful as Yuan Zhonghua. The leader was obviously a peak-level late-clasping Yuan realm warrior. I think I should just forget about it. I don't like this pair of gloves. Murong Qingqing did not plan to accept his gift. The young man turned around. What? Didn't you want to buy it just now? Just now was just now. I don't like it now. Yi Chen, let's go. Murong Qingqing turned around and left. Yi Chen followed behind her helplessly. The smile on the young man's face froze. Yi Chen was willing to pay for her, but she did not buy it when he gave it to her. How ridiculous. Master Lu, send a couple of people to watch them. See what kind of relationship that brat has with her. Yes, Your Royal Highness, the old man in the lead said respectfully. Better not. Otherwise, don't blame me. Glancing at Yi Chen with a creepy look, the young man dropped the gloves and walked away. Chapter 192. In front of an ancient-looking building. People were coming and going. The warriors who went in had a serious look on their faces, and the ones who came out were either overjoyed or upset. The atmosphere was quite weird. Yi Chen paused, turned his head and said, "The second prince you're talking about should be the second prince of the Black Dragon Empire, right?" "Yeah, he is also ranked 34th in the last hidden dragon rank. He is slightly more powerful than Qi Xiaofeng." Murong Qingqing was playing with the golden silk gloves in her hand. Just now, under Yi Chen's suggestion, they had gone back to the crystal counter and bought the gloves. "You seem to be very scared of him." "I am not scared of him, I am scared of the royal family of the Black Dragon Empire behind him." In the South Rudra region, rank 6 institutions are not the most powerful ones. The royal families of the 3 big empires are the real rulers. According to the ranking, the 3 big empires are equivalent to the top rank 6 institutions. They have tens of thousands of years of history. Even the powerful 9 ghost cult could not destroy the 3 big empires at once. Speaking of the 9 ghost cult, Yi Chen could not help but ask, what is the rank of the 9 ghost cult? Even if all of the forces in the South Rudra region combined, they would not be able to compete with it. It is a rank 5 institution, and it is a top rank 5 institution. There are thousands of astral reaching realm warriors in the martial institution, and dozens of Sea of Souls realm warriors. And the leader of the 9 ghost cult is a life and death realm warrior. If it were not for the Dragon King and Xianhou working together to hunt him down, the 9 ghost cult would have already conquered the whole South Rudra region. The Dragon King and Xianhou working together to hunt down the leader of the 9 ghost cult. Yi Chen gasped. In this true spirit continent, life and death realm warriors were definitely a legend. A lot of people might not even get to see one in their entire lives. Murong Qingqing had a longing look on her face as she explained, the battle between life and death realm warriors is not a normal battle. Even if you are 30% more powerful, you will only be able to beat your opponent back. You will not even be able to hurt your opponent. Although the Dragon King is an experienced life and death realm warrior, and Xianhou is even more powerful, the leader of the Su King is not a normal life and death realm warrior either. In a one-on-one battle, you will not be able to do anything to him. In the whole world, perhaps only that supreme warrior, Su King, could wound the leader of the 9 ghost cult badly by himself. But to kill him completely would be very, very hard, unless the power gap between the two was a few times higher. You're saying that the leader of the 9 ghost cult might still be alive? You don't know. Murong Qingqing shook his head. Yi Chen forced a smile. With his cultivation, he would not be able to understand the power of life and death realm warriors at all. Making wild guesses would only bring trouble to himself. Alright, let's go in. Yi Chen did not say anything else as he walked towards the ancient-looking building. Welcome. You two are here to use the training room, right? In the lobby, there was a beautiful lady sitting there. Seeing the two walk in, a formal smile appeared on her face. Yi Chen nodded, that's right. The martial city was different from other places. It could be said that it was blessed by the heavens. Under the martial city, there was the earth Shajin fire, which was extremely hot. Once an astral reaching realm warrior touched it, he or she would be burned into ashes in an instant. However, what was amazing was that if a warrior trained near the earth Shajin fire, he or she would be able to train his or her Jin Qi much faster, and it would be easier for him or her to make a breakthrough. Later on, dozens of Sea of Souls realm warriors performed an amazing trick and gathered the fire Qi that came from the earth Shajin fire in one place, and built the unique training room of the martial city. Training in the training room was much better than before. Most of the warriors who came to the martial city because of the fame of the earth Shajin fire were here to train in the training room, hoping to reach a higher level as soon as possible. Of course, training in the training room required soul stones. There was no such thing as a free lunch in the world. The training rooms in our martial city are divided into 4 ranks, the low-rank training room, the mid-rank training room, the high-rank training room, and the top-rank training room. However, only astral reaching realm warriors can use the high-rank training room and above. Would you like a low-rank training room or a mid-rank training room? Yi Chen said, give us 2 mid-rank training rooms. The fire Qi in the high-rank training room was way too intense. Warriors below the astral reaching realm would not be able to handle it. Otherwise, there would be no need for the martial city to restrict the warrior's cultivation, since everyone's soul stones were soul stones anyway. The mid-rank training room costs 1,000 low-rank soul stones per day. There is a mid-rank training field outside. Please pay for 3 days' worth of soul stones in advance. Yi Chen had already heard the price of the training room from Murong Qingqing, so he was not too surprised. He took out 6,000 low-rank soul stones and put them on the counter, then took 2 jade tags from the waiter's hand. The ancient characters 64 and 65 were written on the jade tags. "Please follow me," a waiter said as he led the way. Yi Chen and Murong Qingqing followed. Not long after, the two followed the waiter to 2 adjacent yards. The waiter said, "On the left is the mid-rank training room 64, and on the right is the mid-rank training room 65. Before you leave the training room, they belong to you. Without your permission, no one can enter." "Got it." Yi Chen took out 10 low-rank soul stones and threw them to the waiter. "Thank you. I wish you success in your training." The waiter revealed a smile. He was only a mid-condensing reality realm warrior. 10 low-rank soul stones were quite a lot for him. After the waiter left, Yi Chen said, "I think this training will take a long time. If you can't wait, you can leave first. I will pay for the soul stones." "All right." Murong Qingqing indeed would not stay in the martial city for a long time, since she could not make a breakthrough with her current cultivation. Even with the training room, it would not be possible. If she did not make much progress, she would need to go back to the Sky-Flying Devil Martial School and prepare for it before heading to the 100,000 mountain range to find the Sky Devil Flower. After separating from Murong Qingqing, Yi Chen entered the 64th yard. "Wow, this training field is not bad. It should be able to take a lot of impact." In front of his eyes was a small martial arts field with a circumference of 30 meters. The ground of the martial arts field was paved with extremely hard blue iron stones. In the center of the martial arts field, there were 3 training pillars made of metal. There were many marks on the surface, such as sword marks, saber marks, and palm prints. It was obvious that they had been used by people. Taking out his star scar sword, Yi Chen took a deep breath and threw out a sword attack. Shoo! The light blue sword chi sliced through the air, leaving a deep sword mark on the training columns. Because Yi Chen did not know how hard the training columns were, he took out his dragon spring sword and threw out another sword chi, leaving a slightly shallow sword mark on the training columns. Yeah, it increased the attacking power by about 15%. A low-rank great sword is indeed a low-rank great sword. It is not something a normal great sword can compete with. Regarding the power of the Star Scar sword, Yi Chen was very satisfied. But in comparison, he preferred the hardness of a low-rank great weapon. With the Star Scar sword, he would not have to worry about the sword breaking anymore. The yard was not that big. Besides the small training field, there was only one building. Inside the building, there was a living room in the middle, a bedroom on the left, and a training room on the right. The training room was made of a special material. It was not made of stone, nor was it made of metal. Instead, it looked like it was made of some kind of iron wood. It was hard and cold to the touch. Once he entered the room, Yi Chen felt the temperature increase. But strangely, staying in the training room, he did not feel hot at all. On the contrary, his body felt warm, and the Zhen Qi that was flowing slowly suddenly became active, like a surging river. Releasing his soul power, Yi Chen wanted to see what was so special about the training room. Soon, he found that there was a light red gas rising up from the ground, gathering in the training room. Because of the special material, the walls and the ceiling had the effect of blocking the red gas, preventing it from spreading out. This should be the fire chi of the earth Zhen Qi. I wonder what the real earth Zhen Qi looks like. Mumbling to himself, Yi Chen walked to the cushion in the middle of the training room and sat down with his legs crossed. He took out a chi replenishing pellet, a spirit replenishing pellet, and a soul replenishing pellet and put them into his mouth. He then took out 2 low-rank soul stones and held them in his hands. This time, he wanted to reach the peak of early clasping Yuan realm. Only with his cultivation could his overall power increase rapidly. Closing his eyes, Yi Chen slowly entered the training state. You mean, that Brad is training in the training room? In the private room of the restaurant, Yuan Zhonghua said to the condensing reality realm warrior who was standing in front of him. The warrior nodded, yes. Keep watching him. Once he comes out, send someone to inform me immediately. You will get the soul stones. Yuan Zhonghua said with a cold expression. Yes. The warrior looked very happy. In the martial city, condensing reality realm warriors did not have much status. It was very hard to earn soul stones through normal channels. The good thing was that all the warriors who entered the martial city had some conflicts with each other. Normally, the warriors who had conflicts would find a few condensing reality realm warriors to keep an eye on each other. Of course, there was a price to pay, which was soul stones. You can leave for now. Yuan Zhonghua waved his hand. Waiting until the warrior left, Yuan Zhonghua's face turned evil. Brat, the training room is not omnipotent. You are only an early clasping Yuan realm warrior, and you can only reach the peak of early clasping Yuan realm in a short period of time. You will not be able to compete with me. Once you leave the martial city, it will be your death. As for that scar sword, it will be mine. Inside another luxurious yard. Second Prince, our people have been watching along the way. They found that this guy is not that close to Miss Murong. They should be normal friends. The elder in black said with respect. Hearing him, the second prince laughed, normal friends. That's what I said. Qin Cheng is a proud woman. How could she have a relationship with someone else? Plus, that brat is only an early clasping Yuan realm warrior. The elder in black rolled his eyes, and thought to himself, no one said that he has a relationship with Murong Qincheng. You are the one who thinks so. If that is the case, then let's stop watching. Murong Qincheng has a lot of normal friends. There is no need to watch every single one of them. Knowing that Yi Chen and Murong Qincheng were normal friends, the second prince felt a lot better. He did not plan to cause any trouble for Yi Chen. After all, martial geniuses had too many normal friends. It would be weird if they did not have any. Yes. Chapter 193. Days passed by. On the seventh day, noon. The door of the training room was opened, and Yi Chen walked out. I can't stay in the training room for too long. As time goes on, the earth Shazhen fire will make me anxious. If I continue to train like this, I might lose my mind and end up with unpredictable consequences. Alright, I will take a break for a while and train the Flow Rudra 3 spell and the Void Shattering Finger art. For Yi Chen, the Flow Rudra 3 mysterious spell was very important. Only by increasing his speed would he have the chance to escape from danger in the future. Let's go eat something first. Letting out a breath of hot air, Yi Chen pushed open the door and walked out of the yard. Although clasping Yuan realm warriors could go for a long time without eating or drinking, but once they stopped training, they would still be very hungry. Yi Chen was no exception. Young warrior, this is a note from your friend. Outside the yard, the waiter who had served Yi Chen and Murong Qincheng saw Yi Chen and hurried over, handing him a note. Yi Chen took the note and opened it. Brother Yi, I still have something to do. I will go back to the Sky Demon Martial School now. Be careful, we will meet again in the future. Murong Qincheng. Closing the note, Yi Chen asked, when did she leave? 4 days ago. Thank you, this is your reward. Taking out 10 low-rank soul stones from his storage ring, Yi Chen threw them to the waiter. The waiter took the low-rank soul stones and thought to himself, so generous. 10 low-rank soul stones at once, it is enough for me to train for a month. In a restaurant nearby, Yi Chen sat on the second floor near the window. Yuan Zhonghua's power is not to be underestimated. Before I leave the city, I have to reach the peak of early clasping Yuan realm, and I have to train the Flow Rudra 3 mysterious spell to the first realm as well. Adding my ace attack, the one sword attack, I should be able to fight against him for a while. Unfortunately, the third movement of the void-shattering finger art is extremely hard to train. If I could learn 10 to 20% of it, I would have a higher chance of winning. According to Yi Chen's estimation, the void-shattering finger art should be a heaven realm finger art, and it was not a low-rank one at that. Judging from the fact that the stone pillar-like finger could shatter a life and death realm beast with a single finger attack, Yi Chen could tell that. Soon, all the dishes were served, as well as a pot of wine. Yi Chen couldn't care less about being polite and started wolfing down the food. Did you guys know that yesterday, an astral-reaching realm martial artist died in the heavy mysterious mountain? A few clasping Yuan realm martial artists were sitting together on the third table next to them, talking to each other. What? An astral-reaching realm warrior is dead. Who killed him? It was the mountain-shaking old man, Jiao Kuei. The one who died was not a nobody either. His nickname was Evil Blade, and he had reached the peak of early astral-reaching realm. Evil Blade, it was him. Decades ago, he had killed the whole family of the mountain-shaking old man's disciple. The mountain-shaking old man had always hated him. I did not expect him to catch him this time. Oh right, how many attacks did they use? Although the mountain-shaking old man was a mid-astral reaching realm warrior, Evil Blade was also very powerful. I heard that he could take on normal mid-astral reaching realm warriors. 3 attacks. The mountain-shaking old man killed Evil Blade with only 3 attacks. That's impossible. Did Evil Blade not have enough time to burn his Jin Yuan? If he did not burn his Jin Yuan, Evil Blade would only be able to take 1 attack at most. Back then, the mountain-shaking old man had gone all out. He did not even say anything before burning his Jin Yuan, not giving Evil Blade any chance to escape. It's good that he died. Evil Blade had killed countless people, so he would not be able to escape after all. Hearing their conversation, Yi Chen thought to himself, the mountain-shaking old man looks like a nice person, and he even teased me in front of Morong Qingcheng. But when he is angry, he is quite fierce. He killed a peak-level early astral-reaching realm warrior with 3 attacks. I am afraid that even Thunder Freer would not be able to take 3 attacks from him. After lunch, Yi Chen walked out onto the street. As he walked, he stopped. Enemies are bound to meet on a narrow road, he thought to himself. Hehe, it seems like you have not reached the peak-level early clasping Yuan realm yet. Plus, your friend has left you as well. Yuan Zhongbua looked at Yi Chen with an evil intention. Yi Chen said lightly, right now is the best chance to kill me. Unfortunately, it is not in your hands. There is no use trying to provoke me. I am not stupid. Even astral-reaching realm warriors do not dare to kill people in the martial city. I would not dare to either. Unfortunately, you cannot stay in the martial city forever. Then you wait for me. Maybe I will stay in the martial city for 3 to 5 years. Yi Chen sneered as he walked past Yuan Zhongbua. Yuan Zhongbua's face darkened. If he really wanted to stay in the martial city for 3 to 5 years, he would not be able to do anything about it. Damn! Don't fall into my hands. Otherwise, I will make you beg for death. Back in the yard, Yi Chen rested for a while and started to learn the Flow Rudra 3 spell. Another 7 days passed. On the small training field. Separate. Yi Chen groaned with a low voice. 2 extremely real Zhen Qi shadows appeared from Yi Chen's body. The Zhen Qi shadows started to fly, and within a blink of an eye, they had already run 1 round around the training field. Then, they suddenly appeared in front of the metal training column and threw a punch on it. Boom! Boom! 2 fist marks appeared on the training column. Soon. After a while, the Flow Rudra 3 spell should be able to reach the first realm. By then, the separating shadow flying art would be at the middle rank Earth realm. Right now, the separating shadow flying art had already surpassed the original effect. It was not any weaker than the top low rank Earth realm flying art, and was only one step away from the middle-rank Earth realm. The Zhen Qi shadows merged into his body. Yi Chen stood still and closed his eyes. After a long while, he opened his eyes, and an extremely horrifying qi spread out. He reached out his right index finger and pointed at the training column. Pooh! A deep finger mark appeared in the middle of the training column, and the fingerprint could be seen clearly. Seeing that, Yi Chen shook his head, still not good. Not even 1/10 of it. The third movement of the void-shattering finger is too hard. It seems like my cultivation is indeed too low. Wanting to learn a heaven realm finger art is not something that can be done in a short period of time. Let's not waste any more time. During this period of time, besides training the Flow Rudra 3 spell, Yi Chen was also training the void-shattering finger art. He wanted to see if he could make a breakthrough. It seemed like the rank of the void-shattering finger art was too high, and it would be unwise to waste his time on it. Time flew by like water. On this day, Yi Chen moved extremely fast on the small training field. On his way, his body slightly shook, and two Zhen Qi shadows shot out towards the training column at an unbelievable speed. Break! The real body and Zhen Qi shadows threw out a punch at the same time, violently hitting the training column. Boom boom boom. 3 muffled sounds were heard almost at the same time. Back out! With one punch thrown out, the 3 shadows mixed together and backed out in a dazzling way. It was impossible to tell which was the real body and which was the Zhen Qi shadows. Compared to before, the speed and effect were not the same at all. Taking back the Zhen Qi shadows, a smile appeared on Yi Chen's face. The Flow Rudra 3 spell has finally reached the first realm. Right now, my separating shadow flying art is more than 50% stronger than before. I can already cooperate with the Zhen Qi shadows to attack the enemies together. Seriously speaking, the Zhen Qi shadows created by the separating shadow flying art were mainly used to confuse the enemies, and did not have much power. However, after reaching the mid-rank Earth realm, the Zhen Qi shadows' power had increased drastically. When encountering a powerful opponent, the Zhen Qi shadows would be able to block the opponent for a second, and that second would be more than enough. The Earth Fiend Zhen fire inside my body has almost dissipated. I should try to break into the peak-level early clasping Yuan realm this time. Reaching the peak-level early clasping Yuan realm from the early clasping Yuan realm required a lot of accumulation. If there were pellets or treasures that could increase Zhen Qi, it could be done within a couple of days. Unfortunately, these kinds of pellets and treasures were not something that normal people could get. Only those rank 7 martial institutions or super martial institutions had the resources to train their genius disciples. For example, Morong Qingqing had improved her cultivation from the mid-clasping Yuan realm to the peak-level mid-clasping Yuan realm with a fire dragon fruit. According to her, the other top-ranked hidden dragon rank warriors had done the same. There was no time to be jealous of those genius disciples from the rank 7 martial institutions or super martial institutions. Right now, Yi Chen could only focus on training step by step. What? That brat went inside to train again? Inside the private room of the restaurant, Yuan Zhongguo was extremely furious. The teenager who came to inform Yi Chen said, "Yes, I used the low-rank soul stones you gave me to bribe a few waiters." They did not see him come out. Keep watching. I don't believe that he can really stay in the martial city for 3 to 5 years. Yuan Zhongguo was now really worried that Yi Chen would not leave the martial city. It was not like this had never happened before. A lot of people had stayed in the martial city for 10 or even 20 years in order to avoid their enemies. They did not dare to leave the martial city until their enemies were killed by someone else. This time, Yi Chen stayed in the training room for half a month without coming out. He did not drink a single drop of water for half a month. He had put all of his focus into training. He had used hundreds of low-rank soul stones and dozens of spirit, qi, and mental pellets. If it was a normal early clasping Yuan realm warrior who did this, there would be a huge chance that he would lose his mind. However, Yi Chen's soul power was extremely powerful, which allowed him to extend the time by more than 2 times. Otherwise, he would not have been so reckless. Outside the yard, different waiters would come and watch during their break time, which made the waiter who had received a tip from Yi Chen feel suspicious. He had lived in the martial city for so many years, and had seen everything. If he was not mistaken, there should be someone who wanted to kill Yi Chen. Under the watch of those waiters, Yi Chen finally came out again. The fire chi of the earth fiend Shen fire is so amazing. After training for so long, my meridians are still fine. But, it should also have the effect of the chi replenishing pellet and the soul replenishing pellet. Normally, warriors would stop after training for a couple of hours at most, because their meridians could not handle the constant flow of Shen Qi, which could easily cause damage to their meridians. However, in the training room, Yi Chen would only stop for a couple of hours after training for half a day. He would close his eyes and rest. After a couple of hours, his meridians would return to normal and he would continue training. Letting out a long breath, Yi Chen opened the door and mumbled to himself, "I have reached the peak level early clasping Yuan realm. I will not be able to make another breakthrough in a short period of time." Bang bang bang, someone knocked on the door from outside the yard. Yi Chen pulled with his right hand, and the door bolt was pulled open. He said, "Come in." Crack. The door opened, and it was the waiter who had served him before. "What is it?" Yi Chen asked. "You should not leave the martial city for now. Someone has their eyes on you, and they have arranged a lot of waiters to watch over you." Yi Chen smiled lightly, "I know, thanks." Yuan Zonghua had sent people to watch over him, and he had already known about it. Now that his cultivation and flying art had both improved, he did not have to be afraid of him anymore. "You know, it seems like I have been worrying too much." The waiter laughed. Yi Chen said, "You go first, don't get yourself into trouble." "Yeah." The waiter was taking a huge risk by coming here. Although he would not leave the martial city in a couple of years, some things were unpredictable. The next morning, Yi Chen closed the door and was about to leave the training room. Chapter 194. You have trained in the training room for 35 days. Excluding the 3 days that you paid before, you still need to pay for 32 days worth of soul stones. That's 32,000 low-rank soul stones in total. The lady said with a smile. Yi Chen paid the soul stones, and before he left, he glanced at the waiter who had a weird expression on his face. Walking on the street, Yi Chen thought to himself, if nothing goes wrong, Yuan Zonghua will soon know that I have left the martial city, and he will definitely come after me. Instead of fighting back or running away, I might as well make the first move and teach him a lesson. After making up his mind, Yi Chen increased his speed and flew towards the city gate. "Sir, the kid you asked us to watch is running towards the city gate." The door of the restaurant was opened, and the young man rushed in. Crack. The teacup was shattered as Yuan Zonghua stood up and laughed, "Kid, let's see where you can run this time. Today, the heavy mystery mountain will be your burial ground." Yuan Zonghua was not afraid of Yi Chen running away at all. The gravity in the center of the heavy mystery mountain was 10 times stronger than the outside world. The lower the cultivation, the greater the pressure. He and Yi Chen were 2 realms apart. No matter how you looked at it, he was way more powerful than Yi Chen. Seeing that Yuan Zonghua was about to leave, the young man said, "Sir, what about the other half of the soul stones you promised me? Let's talk about it when I come back. I will give you double." As the voice came, the young man had already disappeared. Getting out of the city gate, Yi Chen's body flashed and landed on the thigh-thick chain. Zhen Qi exploded from his feet, and he jumped out like he was on a skateboard. Coming. On his way, Yi Chen's soul power sensed Yuan Zonghua's aura. The latter was running towards him, and soon, he had reached the city gate. The moment Yuan Zhongbua got out of the city gate, he saw Yi Chen, who was almost at the other side of the abyss. He laughed and jumped up into the sky like a rock spreading its wings. Within a second, he landed on the chain. His legs started to move back and forth at an extremely fast speed, increasing his speed. Shoo! Soon, Yuan Zhongbua arrived at the top of the mountain along the chain. Looking down, a few miles away, a human shadow was running crazily, looking back from time to time, looking a bit impatient. Can you escape? His clothes started to flutter even though there was no wind. Yuan Zhongbua jumped into the air, and his Zhen Qi started to pour out, forming a 3 meters long blood-red Zhen Qi eagle outside his body. The eagle flapped its wings, and with a shoo sound, it dived down, drawing a beautiful blood-colored arc in the air. The two of them moved as fast as lightning, one chasing and the other escaping. Blood Eagle Art. That is not Yuan Zhongbua. Who is he chasing? Yuan Zhongbua is an experienced late-clasping Yuan realm warrior. Judging from the Zhen Qi vibration of that guy in front of us, he has not reached the mid-clasping Yuan realm yet. He should be at the peak level early-clasping Yuan realm. The Blood Eagle Sword Yuan Zhongbua is ruthless. This guy is going to suffer. What does it have to do with us? Countless warriors die in the heavy mysterious mountains every day. Not long ago, even an astral-reaching realm warrior died. The heavy mystery mountain range was not very big, and there were many martial artists coming and going. The chase and escape between the two alarmed many martial artists, causing them to talk about it. Kid, let's see where you can run to. Wrapped by the Zhen Qi eagle, Yuan Zhongbua took out his great sword and threw out a sword attack. Shoo! The blood-red sword Qi stretched out in the air, slicing through the air. Wherever it went, the mountain rocks were cut in half, and the trees fell down one after another. Within a second, it had caught up with Yi Chen. Boom! A small hill in front of them had been blown open. It was like Yi Chen had grown eyes on the back of his head. He suddenly changed his route and flew towards a remote road. Hee, the more remote the better. This way, there will not be any accidents. The Zhen Qi eagle flapped its wings and carried Yuan Zhongbua, chasing after Yi Chen. Gradually, no one could be seen around them anymore. The ground was covered with weeds, which were huge and tall, with the thickness of an arm. Obviously, the gravity of the heavy mysterious mountains had strengthened the plants that survived in there, making them much tougher than the plants in the outside world. 300 meters. 200 meters. 100 meters. Yuan Zhongbua laughed out loud, "Little brat, I advise you not to run anymore. If you want to blame something, blame yourself for thinking that you could escape from me." In front of him, Yi Chen's cold voice was heard. It is hard to tell who will laugh in the end. Stubborn duck. Let's see how you will laugh later. Yuan Zhongbua hated Yi Chen's tone. Until now, Yi Chen was still terrifyingly calm, as if nothing could affect him. On the contrary, Yuan Zhongbua seemed to be irritated, as if he could not wait to kill Yi Chen and destroy his confidence. Both of them were flying at a low altitude, only tens of meters away from the ground. Suddenly Yi Chen's body landed on the ground, and he started to run on the ground. Yuan Zhongbua was dazed for a second, and then he laughed out proudly. The gravity of the heavy mysterious mountains is extremely strong. The Zhen Qi will be consumed 10 times faster than the outside world. God is on my side. Let's see how you are going to escape. Eagle Punch. As the punch was thrown out, an eagle's cry was heard. The grass in front of him had been smashed into pieces under the pressure of the punch. The ground sank a couple of meters deep, and a huge fist mark appeared. He dodged it. Yuan Zhongbua thought that his punch would be enough to wound Yi Chen, but he did not expect that Yi Chen's speed would suddenly increase, allowing him to dodge the punch. Oh well, it has been a while since I played the game of cat and mouse. Right then, he felt that killing Yi Chen all of a sudden would be pointless. After all, he had been pissed off for a month, and he needed to vent it out. However, before he could be happy for long, the hairs on his body suddenly stood up. Danger. After going through so many bloody battles, Yuan Zhongbua instinctively felt a sense of danger. He subconsciously increased the strength of his Zhenqi layer. The blood-red Zhenqi eagle around his body had been compressed to half of its original size, and its thickness had also doubled. All of this happened within a blink of an eye. In the next second, a beam of sword qi shot out from under the ground, hitting Yuan Zhongbua's body within a second. Brat, you will die a horrible death. Blood puked out of his mouth. Although Yuan Zhongbua had sensed the danger, he did not know where the danger was coming from. What was worse was that underneath his Zhenqi layer was the weakest, and it was immediately torn open by the sword qi, causing him to suffer quite a serious internal injury. The ground cracked open, and Yi Chen's body shot out. Zhenqi shadow. Yuan Zhongbua's pupils shrank. He was not stupid, and it did not take him long to figure out how Yi Chen managed to get under the ground. It turned out that the second Yi Chen landed on the ground, he had performed his separating shadow flying art and left a Zhenqi shadow on the ground to attract Yuan Zhongbua's attention. His real body had already gone under the ground, and with his soul power, he had easily tracked Yuan Zhongbua's location. Yi Chen did not plan to let his opponent rest. He waved out his sword, and a light blue giant sword qi shot up, twisting the air and forming a tornado, attacking towards his opponent. Ha, small tricks. Now I will let you know that even if I am wounded, I can still kill you easily. Blood Eagle 3 sword attacks. Yuan Zhongbua sneered and threw out 3 sword attacks in a row. 3 beams of sword qi, 2 from the top and 1 from the bottom. The top 2 were like the eagle's wings, and the bottom one was like the eagle's sharp claws. They flew towards the tornado, and all of a sudden, the tornado was cut into 3 pieces, turning into air and pure Yuan qi, scattering everywhere. The old late clasping Yuan realm warriors are indeed not to be underestimated. With the Star Scar sword in his hand, Yi Chen's body flashed, jumping towards Yuan Zhongbua. Die! Yuan Zhongbua laughed viciously, as that blood-red Zhenqi eagle flew out of his body. Swoosh! The Zhenqi shadow had been torn apart, and Yi Chen's real body was less than 10 meters away from Yuan Zhongbua. 1 sword attack. His body suddenly stood up, Yi Chen held his sword with both of his hands, and threw out a sword attack from above. Shoo! The light blue sword qi flashed once before disappearing, leaving a light blue line in the air, stretching straight towards Yuan Zhongbua. What? So fast? It was not the first time Yuan Zhongbua had seen such a fast sword qi, but it was the first time he had seen it from a peak-level early clasping Yuan realm warrior. Right then, it was obviously too late for him to avoid it. He yelled, held his sword with both of his hands, and threw out a sword attack. Boom! The sword qi and the great sword clashed, and a horrifying shockwave exploded. A 7 meters deep hole appeared on the ground, and on the edge of the hole, there were spider web-like sword marks spreading out, cutting all the plants. Yuan Zhongbua's body had been blown away by the shockwave, and his face had turned even paler. Together with his scrawny face, he looked like wrinkled white wax, which made him look horrifying. Brat, very good. I have underestimated you. But no matter how powerful you are, you will not be able to escape death. He was indeed shocked. Although he had been wounded by the sword qi before, his attacking power had not decreased by much. It was at least 80%. With 80% of his power, normal late clasping Yuan realm warriors would not be able to compete with him. Killing a peak-level early clasping Yuan realm brat would be a piece of cake. But right now, he understood that Yi Chen was the kind of martial genius who could challenge those with higher cultivation than him. Boom! Yuan Zhongbua stomped on the ground and cracked it open. He stared at Yi Chen as if he was looking at a dead man. He held his great sword with both of his hands and stabbed it into the ground. He yelled with a low voice, 1 sword sky. Danger. It had always been Yi Chen sneakily attacking his opponents, and he had never been sneakily attacked before. As Yuan Zhonghua stabbed his sword into the ground, he could feel that there was a huge amount of sword qi brewing under the ground. Once it exploded, it would be more than enough to cut him into pieces. His body flashed again and again. Yi Chen had suddenly created 3 Jin Qi shadows. All of a sudden, the ground suddenly cracked open. Countless waist-thick blood-colored light beams shot out of the ground, easily piercing through the Jin Qi shadows and chasing after Yi Chen's real body. With his soul power, Yi Chen managed to dodge a couple of times. How is this possible? How did he know where the sword qi was going to explode? Yuan Zhonghua opened his eyes wide. Even he could not dodge that sword attack, so he thought that Yi Chen would not be able to either. Yuan Zhonghua bit on his teeth and poured half of his Jin Qi into his great sword, sending it into the ground. Boom! A 7 to 8 meters thick blood-colored light beam covered Yi Chen's dodging area, shooting up into the sky. Sword Qi Mountain. Holding the sword with both of his hands, Yi Chen waved down with all of his strength. All of a sudden, layers of mountain-like sword qi attacked the blood-colored light beam, canceling out the damage. Shoo! The blood-colored light beam covered a huge area. Even though it had cancelled out most of the impact, there was still a small part of the piercing power that was able to break Yi Chen's great mysterious body protecting Jin Qi. Right then, the great mysterious art that had been trained to the peak of its 9th realm finally showed its effect. The quality of his Jin Qi was way higher than normal Jin Qi. That thin layer of Jin Qi did not disappear at all, and was still protecting Yi Chen's body. Chapter 195. Impossible. How did he block it? Yuan Zhonghua's one sword soaring sky consumed a lot of his Jin Qi. Before, he had thrown out dozens of sword attacks in a row, and then he threw out a sword attack with a huge range. Almost 70% of his Jin Qi had been used up, and the remaining Jin Qi was barely enough for him to perform a couple of small range attacks. However, those small range attacks were obviously not enough to lock onto Yi Chen's body, which was a waste of Jin Qi. Although I do not know what kind of medicine you use to recover your Jin Qi, but I have the purple gold Qi restoring pellet, which can recover 20 to 30% of my Jin Qi instantly. Even after using all of his ace attacks, he still could not kill Yi Chen. Yuan Zhonghua planned to use the purple gold Qi restoring pellet to exhaust Yi Chen to death. He did not believe that Yi Chen had better pellets. Plus, better pellets meant more valuable pellets. Even if he had 1 or 2 of them, it would already be very scary. Putting a purple gold pellet into his mouth, Yuan Zhonghua took out his great sword, which was covered in blood. He lowered his body and approached Yi Chen, leaving a shadow behind. Yi Chen turned his body and faced Yuan Zhonghua's attack head-on. He sneered in his mind. Exhaust me to death. I am afraid that I will still be alive after you die. Dang! The Star Scar sword clashed with Yuan Zhonghua's great sword, and a circle of bright shockwaves spread out in all directions. The hard grass that had been under 10 times the normal gravity exploded layer by layer, bringing up waves of dirt. Eagle Fist. Holding the sword with his right hand and throwing out a punch with his left hand, Yuan Zhonghua's attacks were like a storm. One after another, he threw out all of his killing attacks. He did not plan to give Yi Chen any chance to react. Dominating 1,000 years. It had been a long time since Yi Chen had used the Tyrant Fist art. Ever since he started training the Shocking Cloud Sword art, the Tyrant Fist art had been completely hidden away. But today, the Tyrant Fist art showed its power again. The first attack he performed was the 4th movement of the Tyrant Fist art, dominating 1,000 years. Once the fist was thrown out, the qi flow within hundreds of meters started to move. It was like the wind was blowing and the clouds were rolling. That shocking dominating aura seemed like it was going to rule the whole world. Yuan Zhonghua's fist power could not move at all, as it was completely blocked out by Yi Chen's fist. If that was the case, it would have been fine. However, after a few consecutive attacks, his fist power seemed to have been penetrated, which made his entire arm feel numb. He could no longer control his power. Bang! With a thunderous explosion, the two of them were sent flying backwards. Dozens of deep footprints were left on the grassland. Yuan Zhongguo was shocked. What kind of fist art was that? His eagle fist art was a low-rank Earth Realm fist art after all. Combined with his late clasping Yuan Realm Zhenqi, it should have been an overwhelming advantage. As his body glided out, Yi Chen calmed down. He thought that using the Tyrant fist art to block the opponent's fist art would result in a tie at most, but the result was much better than what he had expected. Thinking about it, the Tyrant fist art was one of the top low-rank Earth Realm fist arts. Each style was more powerful than the previous one. The fourth style, Tyrant fist art, was already as powerful as a normal mid-rank Earth Realm fist art. Besides that, he had also used the sword intent in that fist art. Using the sword intent to integrate the fist power, he had already gained an innate advantage. I don't believe you can last that long. Yuan Zhongguo was furious. His sword art could not hurt his opponent, and his fist art could not hurt him either. All of a sudden, he was so angry that his blood boiled. He threw out a sword and a fist attack. Split. Touching the ground with the tip of his foot, Yi Chen jumped out towards his opponent. Two Zhenqi shadows flashed out, one on the left and one on the right, following Yi Chen and attacking Yuan Zhongguo. Dang! 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 Bang! 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 Sword against sword, fist against fist, mixed with the muffled sound of fists hitting the protective Zhenqi layer. The place where the two were fighting was extremely messy. Break! Letting the Zhenqi shadow attack his protective Zhenqi layer, Yuan Zhongguo jumped into the air and threw out a punch towards Yi Chen's head with a sharp exploding sound. Yi Chen tilted his head, and a small hill behind him was blown up. Taking advantage of the fact that his opponent could not connect after throwing out a punch, Yi Chen took a step forward. His left fist carried a spiral power and attacked towards his opponent's Dantian Qi Si. As long as his attack landed, it would be enough to cripple his opponent. Qi Si sword. Yuan Zhongguo held the sword in his right hand and stabbed towards Yi Chen's chest. At the same time, an extremely sharp sword Qi was shot out from his Dantian, clashing with Yi Chen's fist power. Dang! The Star Scar sword had blocked out his opponent's attack. Yi Chen's body flashed, and two human shadows appeared. Which one is real? Which one is fake? Yi Chen's movement was way too fast. Yuan Zhongguo could only see a blur in front of his eyes, and then there was another person in front of him. He did not have time to think as he hurried to back out. His great sword that was covered in blood continuously threw out a spider web-like sword Qi. Pooh! Pooh! The two human shadows were both shattered into pieces. Yuan Zhongguo's scalp went numb. He screamed in his mind, not good. Both of them are fake. Damn it! Touching the ground with his feet, Yuan Zhongguo jumped into the air. Shoo! The ground was cracked open, and sword Qi flew out. Although you are not a good person, your battling experience and reaction are quite powerful. Coming out of the ground, Yi Chen raised his head and looked at Yuan Zhongguo, who was in the air. Floating in the air, Yuan Zhongguo's face turned pale. If he had hesitated for even a second, he would have been wounded even more. Do I really have to use that attack? Yi Chen's battling experience was not that good, but it was unpredictable and unpredictable. It was always surprising. Until now, Yuan Zhongguo had started to doubt if he would be able to make him stay. Deep in his mind, he even started to think about backing out. However, this thought had only flashed through his mind for a second before it was immediately denied. What a joke! Even a peak-level early clasping Yuan Realm warrior could scare me away. Then, I will definitely have a problem in my heart in the future. A blue light flashed once again. Yi Chen performed his one-sword attack again. Seeing that, Yuan Zhonghua made up his mind. His boiling Zhenqi was poured into his right arm in a very aggressive manner. His skin started to crack all of a sudden. There were blood strands that merged with his Zhenqi, making his Zhenqi even thicker and redder. Minor blood demon body separating great art. Holding the great sword in his right arm, Yuan Zhonghua threw out a sword attack. Whoosh! The blood-red sword qi expanded in the air, turning into 100 meters long sword qi. It shattered Yi Chen's blue sword qi and continued to fall down. The horrifying sword pressure made the ground collapse. A huge sword hole that was almost 1,000 meters long appeared. Yi Chen did not dare to hesitate. He threw out 3 different sword qi with the sword in his right hand, while his left hand suddenly formed a fist and threw out a series of attacks. Then, his right hand suddenly straightened like a blade, and suddenly pointed out his index finger in the air. All of those movements were done within a second. It was unbelievably fast and connected. If there were other top warriors here, they would have been shocked. In a battle between top warriors, doing 2 things at once was already the limit. Doing 3 things at once would only be possible if he had trained some kind of secret martial art. No one had ever seen anyone attack 6 times within a second, and all 6 times were different. It could be considered as doing 6 things at once. But of course, it was still a long way from actually doing 6 things at the same time. The 100 meters long blood-red sword qi started to wear out under the continuous attacks. Its power decreased drastically. When it got close to Yi Chen, it was only about 10 meters long. Pooh! The bloody sword qi that had been greatly weakened had been shattered. Yi Chen stepped on the ground and jumped into the air, leaving countless Zhenqi shadows in the air. Some of these Zhenqi shadows were very real, some were blurry, and some were clear in the front but blurry in the back. There were all kinds of different shapes and sizes. The reason why he did that was to trick Yuan Zhonghua so that he would not be able to tell where his real body was. I don't care how many Zhenqi shadows you have, I will break them all with one sword attack. Yuan Zhonghua had bought the minor blood demon body separating art from a top warrior. It was said that it was the simplified version of the blood demon body separating art from one of the 108 ghost warriors of the 9 ghost cult. Although the simplified version of the minor blood demon body separating art was much less powerful, it did not have the danger of exploding, and it would not hurt his core either. However, the side effects were still not small. If nothing happened to his right arm, it would dry up like a piece of wood, and his blood would dry up. Without any medicine to help him recover, his arm would be useless. The arm that was getting skinnier and skinnier was surrounded by a blood mist. Yuan Zhonghua's face looked extremely twisted as he waved out a sword attack towards the group of human shadows. It was like a blood-red sun, and all of the human shadows were cut into pieces within a second. After performing the Demon Dao secret martial art, your reaction speed has slowed down. All of a sudden, Yi Chen's voice came from behind Yuan Zhonghua. Release. Yuan Zhonghua was shocked. His back suddenly cracked open, and his Zhenqi and blood threads combined into a blood-red qi shield to protect his body. Pop! Yi Chen only threw out one finger attack, and a small hole appeared on the blood-red qi shield. The finger power landed on Yuan Zhonghua's back from a distance. Yuan Zhonghua's body was blown away by that finger attack. He yelled, "Impossible! You broke my minor blood demon body separating great art with only one finger attack." Yi Chen shook his head as he quickly caught up with Yuan Zhonghua. He thought to himself, I did not realize that the void-shattering finger had the effect of breaking Zhenqi. Right now, its power is not as powerful as the sword qi, but in terms of breaking Zhenqi, the sword qi is not as powerful as it is. Combined with the sword intent, this finger attack can be considered as the ace attack of breaking Zhenqi. Yi Chen had performed 6 different martial arts in that split second, and one of them was the void-shattering finger. To his surprise, he realized that when the void-shattering finger attacked Shen Qi, its power was even more powerful than the sword Qi. Unfortunately, it was not very powerful for warriors. Otherwise, with that finger attack, Yuan Zhongbo would have been either dead or severely injured. Young warrior, you should be more lenient when it is possible. There is no need to kill all of them. Just as Yi Chen was about to catch up with Yuan Zhongbo, a human shadow suddenly appeared in front of him and threw out a palm attack. Along with that palm attack, a huge Shen Qi hand appeared out of nowhere. It was extremely heavy, and one could clearly see the fingerprints on it. It was about to grab onto Yi Chen's body and stop him right away. Yi Chen's face looked very dark. He kept on throwing out his void-shattering finger attacks at the Shen Qi hand. All of a sudden, the Shen Qi hand was full of holes, and was completely destroyed. That person was a bit surprised, but he backed off with a smile on his face. Where do you think you are going? That palm attack was obviously aimed at him. How could Yi Chen not know? Killing intent rose in his heart. Yi Chen left Yuan Zhongbo behind and chased after that person. He also took the chance to check him out. He was wearing a brown shirt and looked to be in his 50s. He had a calm smile on his face, as if what he had just done was just a joke. Seeing Yi Chen chasing after him, that person frowned. Young warrior, I am here to stop the fight. Why are you chasing after me? That is so unreasonable. Chapter 196. Cut the crap. Leave something behind before you leave. Yi Chen pointed out his right index finger in the air. Streams of invisible finger power shot out, blocking his opponent from all directions. There was only one finger power left in the middle. The brown-robed middle-aged man's expression changed. This finger power could even penetrate his Shen Qi palm print, and if it landed on his body, it would be disastrous. However, he was wrong. The power of the void-shattering finger art could only slightly injure him at most, it couldn't even seriously injure him. Gold-shattering finger. The middle finger and thumb of his right hand turned into a golden color as he flicked out his finger. Pap! The two finger powers clashed together, and the qi spread out in all directions. The power of the void-shattering finger art has been cancelled out. It should be a mid-rank Earth Realm finger art. Yi Chen understood. Although the void-shattering finger art was at a very high rank, Yi Chen had not even learned 1/10 of it. Therefore, he could not do anything to a low-rank mid-rank finger art. If it did not have the effect of breaking Shen Qi, he might have been shattered by the finger power. Kill! His left index finger kept pointing out, breaking the Shen Qi, while his right hand held the sword and waved out the sword. At this moment, Yi Chen's fighting power had reached its limit, which he had never thought of before. The middle-aged man in brown kept stepping back. After a few rounds of fighting, he had roughly figured out Yi Chen's finger art. It should be a finger art that could break Shen Qi, and its attacking power was not that high. With the strength of his protective Shen Qi, it should be able to block out 60 to 70% of Yi Chen's power, and the remaining 30 to 40% would not be that powerful. At most, it would only slightly wound him. On the other hand, his gold-shattering finger art was very powerful, and it should be able to break through his protective Shen Qi easily. However, Yi Chen obviously knew about this weakness. Yi Chen used his left hand to break through his protective Shen Qi while his right hand used his sword art to attack his weak spot. Flower on finger. Taking a deep breath, the middle-aged man let out a low growl. His middle finger that was on his thumb flicked out, creating a blurry shadow. Countless light golden finger powers clashed with each other in the air, layer upon layer, and eventually formed a beautiful golden flower, attacking towards Yi Chen. This move is powerful. As soon as the golden flower appeared, Yi Chen immediately sensed its structure. That thin golden petal contained an extremely horrifying cutting power, and his protective Shen Qi could not block it at all. He was afraid that even his King Kong jade body would be crushed by it. He stuffed 3 Zhenqi replenishing pills into his mouth, swallowed one, and hid the other 2 in his mouth, just in case he needed them. The Zhenqi inside Yi Chen's body started to circulate crazily in a mysterious way, and finally compressed together, pouring into his right arm and into his index finger through a special meridian. His whole index finger suddenly became illusory, and the air around it started to twist. Break! The illusory index finger enlarged by more than 10 times in the air. It was as thick as an arm, and like a shooting star, it struck the center of the golden flower. Bang 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 bang, the golden flower exploded, and the illusory index finger vanished into thin air. The brown-robed middle-aged man was shocked. The flower-blossoming finger was the last move of the gold-shattering finger. It was extremely powerful, but it had been blocked. What kind of finger art was that? Could it be that he had underestimated it? Mr. Jean, let's work together to kill this brat. Otherwise, he will be a disaster in the future. Yuan Zhongbua appeared next to the middle-aged man out of nowhere. There was still blood on the corner of his mouth, and the clothes on his right arm were fluttering in the air, as if there was no flesh or blood inside. The middle-aged man who was called Mr. Jean smiled, I am only here to stop the fight. I am not interested in your fight. Yuan Zhongbua sneered, Mr. Jean, the others might not know about you, but I do. You have killed countless warriors and taken all their wealth. He, you do know a lot. The smile on Mr. Jin's face did not change. But in the eyes of Yuan Zhongbua and Yi Chen, it was a very dangerous and creepy smile. Then what do you think? Although Yuan Zhongbua said that, he was secretly on guard against Mr. Jin. He had been wounded quite badly. His right arm and his back had almost been sucked dry by the minor blood demon body separating great art. If he continued to perform the minor blood demon body separating great art, his whole body would turn into a mummy, and there would be no cure in this world. Working with Mr. Jin was because he wanted to kill Yi Chen for good. But he was more worried that Mr. Jin would kill him after killing Yi Chen. The good thing was that he had the power to protect himself, and he believed that Mr. Jin knew that. I wanted to stop the fight, but this brat was just too bloodthirsty. He would kill anyone he saw. You know, one should forgive people when possible. God is kind to all living things. In order to prevent others from being harmed by him, I have no choice but to work with you and kill this little devil. Mr. Jin always appeared in the heavy mystery mountains. Whenever he saw warriors fighting, he would step in and help the wounded side by stopping the fight. Then, he would take the chance to kill the other side. By then, the wounded side would not be able to fight with him for the wealth, and it would be easy for him. But of course, if there was a chance, he would not mind killing one of them and then killing the one who was cooperating with him. That way, he would have 2 shares of the wealth. However, this time, he had made a mistake. Yi Chen's battling power was not that powerful, but that finger art of his had scared him. Yi Chen looked very serious. Mr. Jin's power was just as powerful as Yuan Zhongbua when he was at his peak. He was not a simple guy, especially that gold-shattering finger art, which was able to compete with his void-shattering finger art, which had taken away some of his advantages. As for his nonsense, Yi Chen did not care about it at all. The path of a warrior had always been to walk on mountains of corpses and oceans of blood. If people wanted to kill him, then he would kill them. After getting Mr. Jin's reply, Yuan Zhongbua looked at Yi Chen with confidence, I have said it before. Today, the heavy mystery mountains will be your burial ground. Yi Chen said lightly, the next time we meet, I will beat you until you become a mummy. You. Yuan Zhongbua swallowed a mouthful of blood, his eyes filled with killing intent. Mr. Jin shook his head, a life and death battle is not the solution. I will give you one chance. Put down the storage ring on your finger as compensation for Brother Yuan's injury. I will not ask for anything, as long as you hand over this finger art manual and let me destroy it in front of everyone. Can't you say something normal? With the pellet that could instantly replenish his Jin Qi, Yi Chen was not afraid of wasting his Jin Qi. He performed his void-shattering finger art, and a shadow of his index finger attacked towards the two. Little devil, you are so stubborn. Mr. Jin flicked his finger at a fast speed, and a gold flower appeared. At the same time, he said to Yuan Zonghua, I will block him, and you use your sword Qi to break his protective Jin Qi. All right. Yuan Zonghua grabbed a bright red spirit plant and put it into his mouth. He chewed for a couple of times before swallowing it down. Feeling that his Qi and blood had recovered a bit, his body flashed, drawing a red arc in the air. He went around to Yi Chen's back and threw out a sword attack. Dang! The Star Scar sword appeared in his hand as Yi Chen blocked out the incoming attack with his sword. With the attacking power of the sword Qi, he increased his speed and shot towards Mr. Jin. His finger power seemed to have covered the entire surreal space. Perfect timing. Mr. Jin knew about the void-shattering finger art, so he was not afraid of close combat. He turned around and faced Yi Chen, finger against finger. They wanted to see who would be the first one to collapse. Pop! 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 The two were exchanging attacks at an extremely fast speed. Within a second, they had already exchanged dozens of finger attacks. Each finger attack had cancelled out each other, and neither of them could do anything to the other. Blood Eagle 3 sword attacks. Yuan Zonghua was having a headache. This brat was extremely cunning. Seeing that he and Mr. Jin had teamed up, Yi Chen had chosen to fight close combat immediately. Therefore, unless Yuan Zonghua chose to fight close combat as well, he would not be able to help at all. That sword attack had been stored for a long time before it could be thrown out. It was like he had eyes on his back. Yi Chen's real body walked out of the Jin Qi shadow, letting the Jin Qi shadow take that sword attack for him. Then, he jumped towards Mr. Jin again. Whatever. With the two of us teaming up, can we still not beat him? Flashing his body, Yuan Zonghua also joined in the close combat area. One finger and one sword. The two's cooperation was not perfect, but it was not that bad either. They had locked Yi Chen in a controllable area. Separate. Yi Chen did not change his expression. His body shook once, and 4 human shadows flew out. It was hard to tell which one was the real one. Kill. Yuan Zonghua had cut down 2 human shadows with one sword attack, while the other 2 had been blocked by Mr. Jin. After killing one of them, the remaining one would be the real one. Separate again. Swallowing a pellet that was hidden in his mouth, Yi Chen's Jin Qi recovered to its peak. He performed his separating shadow flying art again and again. 3 human shadows appeared one after another, stacking on top of each other. They attacked the 2 from different angles, not giving them any chance to team up. So tricky. How come his Jin Qi is never going to run out? Mr. Jin was quite regretful. If he had known that Yi Chen had so many tricks up his sleeves, he would not have been so greedy. If he could not kill Yi Chen today, then he might have to face crazy revenge in the future, which was not what he wanted. Yuan Zonghua yelled, Mr. Jin, do not hide your ace attacks anymore. You can see that he is quite troublesome. Alright, today I will start a massacre. Mr. Jin pointed at his body a couple of times with his finger. The Jin Qi vibration suddenly increased. It seemed to be a secret martial art that could increase one's battling power. However, this martial art was obviously incomplete. After performing it, Mr. Jin could not help but puke out a mouthful of blood, and his face turned pale gold. After clashing with Mr. Jin's finger attack, Yi Chen was blown away immediately. He thought to himself, his opponent's battling power has increased by more than 10%. I cannot drag this any longer. Up until now, Yi Chen had been relying on his separating shadow flying art the most. Without it, he would not be able to dodge most of the attacks. Although the void-shattering finger art was effective in breaking Jin Qi, it was still not as good as the separating shadow flying art. Right now, there was only one sword attack that he could use. The one sword attack had improved along with his cultivation, and it was still his biggest ace attack. Mr. Jin's Jinqi protection was obviously not as good as Yuan Zhongguo's. Forcing Yuan Zhongguo away with one finger attack, Yi Chen's body kept shaking. Countless Jinqi shadows shot out, blurring everything. Some of them were standing side by side, some were moving up and down, and some were flying at an extreme speed. What was more horrifying was that there were a lot of Jinqi shadows that overlapped with each other, making it hard to tell which one was the real one. Two Jinqi shadows shot out towards Mr. Jin, with Yi Chen's real body hidden within. Break! Boom! A loud explosion was heard. One of the human shadows had been shattered, and the other one's surface had been shattered as well, revealing Yi Chen's real body. Yi Chen held his sword with both of his hands, focusing all of his attention on the Star Scar sword. He threw out a sword attack from above, and the light blue sword light formed into a line. The one sword attack from a close distance. Mr. Jin sensed that something was not right, but it was already too late for him to perform his gold-shattering finger attack. He hurried to push his Jinqi protection layer, making it thicker than it had ever been. At the same time, he put his right middle finger on his thumb, wanting to hit Yi Chen's body the second he blocked out his opponent's sword attack. Chapter 197. Swoosh! The sound of paper being cut open was heard. Mr. Jin's protective Jinqi layer did not last long under that sword attack. Soon, it was cut in half. The light blue sword light drew a bloody line on his chest, slanted and clean. You dare to cut open my defense with one sword attack. You should die as well. His bloodied body was blown backward. Mr. Jin's face was twisted as he flicked out his middle finger that was on his thumb. The powerful finger power had also pierced through Yi Chen's protective Jinqi layer and landed on his chest. Boom! Yi Chen could only feel like his chest had been struck by lightning. The sound of his ribs breaking could be heard clearly. Then, a huge wave of power blew him away. From Yuan Zhongguo's perspective, he could not tell who was hit first. All he could see was Yi Chen waving his sword, and Mr. Jin flicking his finger. Both of them were blown away. It would be best if both of us were wounded. Blood Eagle 5 sword attacks. His powerful Jinqi was poured into his great sword. The second Yi Chen was wounded, Yuan Zhongguo's arm turned into a shadow. He threw out 5 beams of sword qi within a blink of an eye. These 5 beams of sword qi, 1 in the front, 2 in the top, and 2 in the bottom, formed into the sharp beak of an eagle. Huge wings, and a pair of sharp claws that could even pierce through steel, all of them were attacking towards Yi Chen at an extremely fast speed. The air that it touched was instantly cut into pieces, and could not gather together again. I have been watching out for you. His body was still flying backward. Nobody knew when, but Yi Chen's index finger started to turn blurry. The air around his finger started to twist rapidly, creating a small pattern. Hit! Without even looking, Yi Chen pointed out his finger to his left. Boom! 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 The sharp blood-red sword qi was shattered upon touching it. The index finger went through it and landed on Yuan Zhongguo's protective Jinqi layer. His protective Jinqi layer exploded. Yuan Zhongguo made a muffled sound as his skinny body fell onto the ground. All 3 of them were wounded. It seemed like all 3 of them were wounded, and none of them had the upper hand. This kid is so fucking hard to deal with. Yuan Zhongguo and Mr. Jin both had the same thought. If they were in Yi Chen's place, even if their battling power was increased by 30%, they would still not be able to win against the 2 of them. However, as the fight went on, they had fallen into their opponent's fighting style, and were being led by the nose. Their 5-point advantage had turned into 4 points, and then 4 points had turned into 3 points. Now, the 3-point advantage had disappeared, and it had become a draw. If this kid isn't killed, there will never be a day of peace. Spitting out a mouthful of blood, Mr. Jean sprinkled some healing powder on his wound. As soon as he landed on the ground, he dashed toward Yi Chen, leaving a series of afterimages behind him. Yes, we can't let him leave alive, even if we have to pay a small price. If Mr. Jean was not here, Yuan Zhongguo would have run away a long time ago. Right now, with the power of the two of them, they still had the chance to kill Yi Chen. Once he escaped, they would have to worry about him in the future. Seeing Mr. Jean rushing toward Yi Chen, Yuan Zhongguo did not care about his wounded body anymore. He formed a bloody Zhenqi eagle outside his body, flapped its wings, and drew a bloody arc in the air. The two's attacks arrived almost at the same time, shattering Yi Chen's body. Not right. It was another Zhenqi afterimage, and it was 3 Zhenqi afterimages stacked on top of each other, looking so real. Damn it, I got tricked by this brat again. Mr. Jean and Yuan Zhongguo looked around, trying to find out where Yi Chen's real body was. Behind a dozens of meters tall hill. Yi Chen was standing there with his back straight. Wounding them is already the best I can do. Being greedy will only make me lose more than I gain. He understood very well that it was not because he was powerful enough to create such a situation. It was because he had controlled the battle very well, and the separating shadow flying art was the most important one. Letting out a breath, Yi Chen threw out a punch onto the hill. Boom! The whole hill was shattered into pieces, turning into hundreds and thousands of huge rocks that were thrown out, covering Yuan Zhongguo and Mr. Jean who were in front of the hill. After doing all that, Yi Chen left behind a Zhenqi afterimage as his real body flashed into the distance. The sky full of rocks had been shattered. Yuan Zhongguo and Mr. Jean saw Yi Chen's Zhenqi afterimage immediately. They were just about to make their moves when they suddenly stopped. I let him get away. Shattering the Zhenqi afterimage with one finger, Mr. Jin's face looked very bad. Yuan Zhongguo tried to comfort himself. Once a warrior reaches the clasping Yuan realm, it is not something that can be done in a day or two. There is no need to be afraid of him. After all, you and I are still more powerful than him. If it were not for the fact that he is so cunning, he would have been killed by us already. You are right. Next time we meet, we will not give him any chance. The two glanced at each other, and Yuan Zhongguo suddenly backed out for dozens of steps. His wounds were way more serious than Mr. Jin's, and he would not be able to win against him alone. Mr. Jean felt a bit regretful. Being able to kill Yuan Zhongguo was indeed a good thing. Thousands of miles away from the heavy mysterious mountain, there was a normal-looking mountain. It was thousands of meters tall, and had a radius of 7 to 8 miles. It was a barren land, with barely any people around. In the middle of the mountain, there was a hidden cave. It was half blocked by huge rocks, and was full of weeds. Mr. Jin's finger power was extremely aggressive. Even my King Kong jade body was almost pierced through. Without half a month of rest, I would not be able to get back to my peak condition. Alright, I will rest in this cave for a while, and see if I can train my mysterious great art to the 10th realm. The 10th realm of the mysterious Zhenqi should be even more powerful than the Zhenqi trained by normal mid-rank Earth realm martial arts. My attacking power should be even more powerful. Sitting on the dry ground, a lot of thoughts flashed through Yi Chen's mind. The pure jade body boosting spell was a low-rank Earth realm body training martial art, and Yi Chen had already trained the 5th spell, the King Kong jade body. With this powerful body, Yi Chen dared to fight against his opponent. Although that finger art was powerful, it would not be able to pierce through his mysterious Zhenqi layer and his King Kong jade body. He believed that Mr. Jin's wounds were way more serious than his, since the one-sword attack was not that easy to handle. As for the mysterious great art, he had gotten it from the Heaven Dream ancient region. It was one of the top of the mid-rank Earth realm martial arts, especially the 11th realm, which would allow him to produce a mouthful of Jin Yuan that only astral-reaching realm warriors could have. It would definitely become one of Yi Chen's new ace attacks. By then, killing Yuan Zonghua and Mr. Jin would only take him 2 to 3 attacks. With his current peak level 9th realm, the quality of his Jin Qi had already reached the same level as Mr. Jin, who had reached the late clasping Yuan realm. Let's not worry about that for now. Rest is the most important thing. Getting rid of all the distracting thoughts, Yi Chen swallowed a healing pellet and closed his eyes to meditate. There was no sun or moon in the mountain. 10 days had passed in a blink of an eye. On this day, Yi Chen opened his eyes again. A sharp light flashed through his eyes, which looked like the sword light and sword chi of a sword artist, extremely sharp. I guessed it right. Only battles can help me to improve faster. After half a month of rest, Yi Chen's cultivation had been completely stabilized, and he was only one step away from the mid-clasping Yuan realm. Besides that, his mysterious Jin Qi, which had been quiet for a long time, had finally started to show signs of breaking through to the 10th realm. It was indeed a very fast improvement. I should strike while the iron is hot. I might as well break through to the 10th realm here before I leave. A determined look flashed through his eyes. Yi Chen stood up and walked out of the half-closed cave. After taking a few breaths, he went back into the cave and completely sealed the entrance. Looking from the outside, people would only think that there was nothing in there, only a pile of rocks and weeds. No one would notice that there was a cave behind the rocks, and that there was someone training in the cave. He swallowed the spirit, chi, and spirit pellets. Since he was not training his Jin Qi, Yi Chen did not need to use the low-rank soul stones to absorb the Yuan Qi from them. The mysterious Jin Qi followed the unique meridians of the mysterious art, slowly but powerfully running. With each cycle, Yi Chen could feel that he had absorbed a little bit of impurities from his Jin Qi, and was getting closer to the 10th realm. The 36th cycle. The 72nd cycle. The 360th cycle. Only until his meridian started to hurt a little did Yi Chen stop running his Jin Qi. He sat there with his legs crossed and closed his eyes to rest, not moving at all. The human body had the ability to repair itself, and a martial artist's healing ability was even more powerful than a normal human being's. Meridians would become tougher as their cultivation increased. It was said that once a martial artist reached the astral reaching realm, he or she would be able to run Jin Yuan continuously for a month without damaging his or her meridians. Once a martial artist reached the Sea of Souls realm, he or she would be able to run Jin Qi for 10 times longer, which would be more than enough for a year. As for what would happen in the life and death realm, normal people would not be able to understand. Even Yi Chen did not know if the training of life and death realm warriors was the same. Waiting until his meridians had almost recovered, Yi Chen continued to run his mysterious Jin Qi. The spirit, chi, and spirit pellets were consumed one by one, and the days passed by one after another. The weeds outside started to wither, and a layer of frost covered them. It turned out that the winter of the Black Dragon Empire had arrived, and everything was bleak. A woodsman was walking on the mountain road, carrying a huge wild boar on his shoulder. The huge wild boar was a rank 2 demonic beast, called the Red-Eye Battle Boar. Even Mortal Realm Stage 7 or 8 warriors would not be able to compete with it. This woodsman was able to kill a Red-Eye Battle Boar, so he must be at least at the Mortal Realm Stage 8. Anyone below the Mortal Realm Stage 5 is considered a normal human being. I could be considered the number 1 warrior in this village. The woodsman thought to himself, then found a pile of rocks and sat down. Yeah. The natural Yuan Qi here is strange. Why does it feel like it is going into a hole? As a Mortal Realm warrior, the woodsman was not unfamiliar with the natural Yuan Qi. He thought of a possibility, that there might be some kind of magical plant growing in that pile of rocks. A magical plant that could absorb the natural Yuan Qi was extremely valuable. It could easily be sold for thousands of gold, and if it could increase one's cultivation, it would be even more amazing. All of a sudden, the woodsman could not resist the itch in his heart. He also wanted to become a condensing reality realm warrior and explore the outside world, but he was too old. It would be impossible for him to do so within the next 10 years. If he could find a magical plant that could increase his cultivation, then it would not be a problem. The woodsman put down the red-eye battle boar and started to move the rocks. Halfway through, the woodcutter took a few steps back. Between the cracks of the rocks, there was actually a glaring blue light seeping out. Strand by strand, the blue light filled the air. That piercing aura caused the woodcutter to feel a chill run down his spine. His hair stood on end. It was several times more terrifying than the fourth-level demonic beast he had seen from afar. Whoosh! The air vibrated, and a light ripple spread out. The frost on the ground cracked, turning into ice shards. The ice shards shattered and turned into a white mist. The white mist was blown away and spread out in all directions. Then, the remaining half of the rock started to shake, making a crashing sound. Seeing this, the woodsman felt an invisible pressure on his heart. Chapter 198. Weird. Let's back off a bit first. Carrying the battle boar, the axeman took dozens of steps back and jumped onto a high ground. He then hid behind a huge rock, staring at the pile of rocks without blinking. Boom! The blue light exploded. Hundreds of rocks were blown away like they were caught in a terrifying storm, shooting out in all directions. Danger! The axeman's face was pale. He dropped the battle boar and lied on the ground. The high ground looked like it had been hit by an earthquake, shaking violently. Looking from the cave, one could see that the high ground was full of holes, not much better than a hornet's nest. The only reason it was still standing was because of the huge amount of iron minerals that no one had discovered before. After a long time, the axeman crawled up from the ground. Looking at the high ground that was full of cracks, he could not help but be shocked. He subconsciously looked at the pile of rocks. The pile of rocks had disappeared, and what appeared in his sight was a pitch-black cave. The air outside the cave was like a wave. Pap! 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 Footsteps were heard, and a human figure walked out slowly. Finally reached the 10th level of the mysterious great art. The Zhenqi quality is indeed different. The human figure was indeed Yi Qin. He had been training in the cave, and had finally reached the 10th level of the mysterious great art. The 10th level of the mysterious Zhenqi was extremely powerful, much more powerful than the 9th level. Yi Qin started to wonder if the mysterious great art was really a mid-rank Earth realm martial art. Why was it so much more powerful than normal mid-rank Earth realm martial arts? Even the best ones should not have this kind of Zhenqi quality. Waving his hand, the pile of rocks on the ground were all shattered into dust. Yi Qin looked at the axeman. Did I hurt you just now? There was actually someone training in there. This person must be very powerful. The axeman stuttered, No. I am sorry for disturbing your training. I will leave now, please don't kill me. Even though Woodcutter hadn't gone out to wander before, he had heard from some passing practitioners that high-level practitioners were most afraid of people disturbing their cultivation. Once they were provoked, they would kill at the slightest provocation without mercy. The other party had a friendly expression, so it couldn't be a sign that he was about to kill someone, right? Yi Qin smiled. If it was a few days ago, I might have been very angry. Now, it doesn't count as disturbing me. Yi Qin wasn't joking. A few days ago was his opportunity to break through. If he was interrupted, he wouldn't kill anyone, but he would definitely be angry. As for the consequences of being angry, he didn't know. Oh. That's good. The woodcutter patted his chest and broke out in cold sweat. By the way, are you a woodcutter nearby? The woodcutter nodded. My house is in Huayang village, which is more than 20 miles away. It's not far from here. Usually, when I have nothing to do, I come here to hunt and share the meat with the villagers. Give it to the villagers. Yi Chen smiled. He could tell that the axeman was at the peak of Mortal Realm Stage 8. If he was outside, he would only be a commoner, but in a remote village, he would be considered as a powerful warrior. Not everyone had the opportunity to practice martial arts. I'm about to go down the mountain, let's go together. In a flash, Yi Chen appeared on the mountain path. Alright, wait for me. Carrying the red-eye battle boar, the woodcutter ran as fast as he could, following closely behind Yi Chen. To be able to talk to a powerful warrior, even if it was just walking with him, was already a rare thing. If the villagers knew about this, they would definitely worship him even more. After all, the most powerful warrior the villagers had ever seen was only a mid-condensing reality realm warrior. Judging from his chi, he was not even 1/10 as powerful as Yi Chen. The mountain was not very high, and the two soon reached the foot of the mountain. Yi Chen was about to leave, but he suddenly frowned. What's wrong? The woodcutter was a bit worried. He knew that Yi Chen was about to leave. Yi Chen said seriously, a very strong demonic chi, covering the sky and the ground. It doesn't look like a single beast, but more like a lot of beasts gathered together. A lot of beasts? The woodcutter froze for a second, then said in shock, isn't that a beast wave? Is there really going to be a beast wave this winter? Yi Chen looked at him, do you know what's going on? The woodcutter shook his head, then nodded. 2 months ago, a warrior who was passing by told me that there would be a lot of beasts this winter. He told me to go to the city as soon as possible, or else I would lose my life. At that time, I thought he was joking. There hasn't been a beast wave in the past 300 years, how could it happen now? He was right, the beast wave is really coming. Yi Chen looked up at the sky. The clear sky had started to darken, and there was a gray chi flow hovering above, forming huge dark clouds, covering the sky and moving towards them at an extremely fast speed. That horrifying aura even shocked Yi Chen. Not good, there are only normal people in the village, I have to go inform them now. You are too slow, let me give you a ride. Grabbing the woodcutter's shoulder with his right hand, Yi Chen extended his body and flew out like a huge bird. He said, point me in the right direction. Thank you, this way. The woodcutter was very grateful. Yi Chen was obviously a top-rank warrior, but he did not have any arrogance at all, which was completely different from what he remembered of top-rank warriors. Yi Chen did not think too much about it. After coming to this world, he had already learned about the rule of power. But, he still had the mark of that world in his bones. If he ran into someone who needed help, and he had the power, he would not reject it. Otherwise, what would be the point of being a powerful warrior? Yi Chen's speed was extremely fast, and within dozens of blinks, he had already traveled dozens of miles. Yeah. There are a lot of beasts in the sky. The beast wave was something that happened quite often in this true spirit continent. As for why it would happen, no one knew for sure. All they knew was that at a certain time, the beasts in a certain place would go crazy and start to attack the places where humans lived. The beasts that were closest to the place would undoubtedly arrive the fastest, especially the flying beasts. They were the ones that killed the most people in the early stages. They are coming. The woodcutter raised his head to take a look. Not far away, the sky was covered in darkness. Among them were Class 3 demonic beasts, red smelting bird, blood crow, flamingo, Class 4 demonic beasts, twin-headed bird, four-clawed eagle, flying lizard, Class 5 demonic beasts, ghost-head eagle, winged wolf. There were too many of them. Any one of the flying demonic beasts could tear him into pieces. Tornado broken clouds. The star-scar sword appeared in his hand as Yi Chen threw out a sword attack towards the place with the most flying beasts. The next second, the tornado mixed with Jin Chi swept over with a whistling sound, and the sword Chi shot out. It didn't matter if it was the 3rd grade flying demon beasts, the 4th grade flying demon beasts, or the 5th grade flying demon beasts, all of them fell from the sky one after another. It was as if a black rainstorm had fallen. He killed dozens of flying beasts with one sword attack. The woodcutter's eyes were wide open. He thought that Yi Chen was only at early clasping Yuan realm, and would be able to compete with normal rank 5 beasts. But now, it seemed like even rank 6 beasts would not be able to compete with him. Plus, he looked so young, about the same age as his nephew. Actually, he had guessed it right. Yi Chen's cultivation had not improved that much, but with the entry-level sword intent, plus the 10th level of the great mysterious art, Yi Chen's attacking power was already almost the same as the older late clasping Yuan realm warriors. Right now, if Mr. Jin or Yuan Zhongguo were to fight against him alone, he would have 70% chance to wound them badly, and 20% chance to kill them completely. Roar! A huge beast with wings on its back and eagle claws dove towards the two. Its speed soon surpassed the speed of sound, which was even faster than Yi Chen. Not good. It is a rank 6 beast, the eagle tiger beast. In the city, one could buy a beginner beast book with 100 gold, which included all the beasts from rank 1 to 6. The eagle tiger beast was one of them, and its power could be ranked in the top 100. The woodcutter had bought one before and kept it in his house. Yi Chen did not care too much about it. Compared to the wind wolf, this eagle tiger beast was way too weak. Judging from its chi, it was just like a normal late clasping Yuan realm warrior. Shocking cloud. With a sword attack, a thunderous sound was heard. Swoosh! The eagle tiger beast came fast, but it died fast as well. Its head had been cut in half by the sword chi. It was killed just like that. The woodcutter's mouth was wide open. Soon, the two arrived at the village. The beast wave is coming. Everyone, go to the city. After landing on the ground, the woodcutter yelled out with all of his strength. What? The beast wave is coming? How is this possible? We haven't had a beast wave for 300 years. Brother Gao, are you kidding me? Yeah, although you are the #1 warrior in our village, you can't scare us like that. Hearing them, most of the energetic young men did not believe it. With one sword attack, Yi Chen cracked the small hill outside of the village, and said with a cold voice, if you don't want to die, go to the city. You won't be able to leave even if you want to. A high-level warrior? The villagers who ran out of their houses were shocked. The village head was an old man with white hair. He yelled, a high-level warrior would not lie to us. Everyone, go to the city now. Don't bring anything with you, just bring some food and valuables. The villagers screamed and ran back to their houses to pack their belongings. All of a sudden, the sound of shouting, crying, and rummaging made the atmosphere even heavier. Standing on top of the village wall, Yi Chen frowned. In the distance, a black mass of flying beasts was approaching. There were a lot of them, and with his power alone, he would not be able to protect all of them. Plus, these were only some of the beasts in the early stages of the beast wave. The longer it dragged on, the more beasts there would be. By then, the number would not be calculated by thousands, but by tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, or even millions. A village and a town would not be able to handle it. Only a huge city could hold on for a while. As for how long it could last, it would depend on whether it was a small beast wave or a medium one. Normally, there would not be rank 7 beasts appearing in a small beast wave, while a medium beast wave would send out rank 7 beasts one by one. Only astral reaching realm warriors would be able to handle it. As for the large beast wave, Yi Chen did not even dare to think about it, because once it happened, even the royal city might not be able to handle it. Then, it would be a real disaster for humanity. Shoo! 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 Shoving 3 Zhen-Qi replenishing pellets into his mouth, Yi Chen held his star-scar sword with both of his hands, performing his tornado broken clouds a couple of times. Countless tornadoes were created, attacking towards the flying beasts in the distance. Swoosh! The flying beasts fell down one after another, clearing up the sky. Most of the beasts that had gathered here were from the mountains or the forests nearby, so there were not many of them. Under the lead of the village head, the villagers who had packed up their belongings started to head east. Hundreds of miles away, there was a small city called the Iron City. You're tuning in to the Han Lee's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.